No, and we're ready to go. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you our final presenter for the day. Leslie Bonner's here to walk us through kind of what's happened throughout today, talk a bit about next steps, and then we'll conclude with remarks from Secretary Mackroth and from Judge Woodruff. So we'll turn it over to Leslie.
So I noticed some of you are escaping. My job is to prevent that from happening. Honestly, this last part, there is no lecture. This is you helping us and you actually doing some work. And I know that this was a long day and your brains are fried, but we're going to do some speed thinking with what little brain power you have left at the end of the day. And this is very interactive, so it will speed along very quickly in the little bit of time we have left. So there were a lot of messages today that you heard, and we tried to capture. I sat through all of the sessions and tried to capture key themes, and I will tell you that as the afternoon wore on, I did start to hear a lot of emerging repeated themes, and so I'm not going to read through these flip charts that we put up here, but there are some key themes. And what we heard were a number of descriptions of the challenges and the barriers and the research. And we did hear some information about solutions and best practices that are actually in the field or that are being considered or that have been used and are now being expanded. What we would like you to do today is to help us think through some additional solutions. There are some of the solutions that are out there that are potentially, were not described today because they're in pockets throughout the state that only a few people know about and that we need to somehow bring to light and spread across the Commonwealth. My job, my company is, I'm a consultant. I've been a consultant with mostly nonprofit organizations for the last 15 years and for-profit organizations before that, and a coach. And there are a couple of things that I heard today that really resonated with me because it's a consultant thing. One is that solutions are often situation specific. You can have a whole toolbox full of solutions, but they don't all apply to every situation. And so each school district, each school, each kid may require a different solution. And so the idea is to build the toolbox and to put as many different kinds of tools in there as you can and to pull the ones out that apply to the specific situation or individual that you're dealing with. And we need your help in trying to collect a little bit of information about those solutions. The other thing that really resonated with me is one of the things that, as a consultant, that I often tell my clients that are trying to either do a strategic plan or come up with a strategy of action going forward is you need to involve your stakeholders, the people who are stakeholders in the problem, in creating that solution. That if you do that, you get greater buy-in to actually implementation. If people feel they're part of helping to create the path forward, they're more likely to actually do that. And so what we want you to do today is to help us create the path forward. And to do this, we need to break you into small groups because it's really hard to try with the 100 or so people that are left here, 80 so people that are left here, to just have you yell out a bunch of solutions. And so we're going to break you into small groups. What we'd like to try and do is to limit the groups to no more than 10 people. And the way this room is set up, you can turn your chair around and you'll be facing the row behind you. If you could cluster yourselves in rows of 10, and that means those of you who are sitting along the back, if you could come down and fill in a row or a seat, then for each of these rows on this section and this section, half of you could turn around and you will have a group of about 10, and the other half can turn around and you have a group of about 10. So if you could do that, just sort of fill in some gaps. We want to get in the groups really quickly, and I'll give you your assignment. Okay. Do you feel like everybody belongs to a group? If not, could you cluster yourselves together a little bit more? Find a group if you don't have one. You don't have to be 10. If you have a group of 5, I'm good with that. All right. So now the next thing I need each group to do, I need someone to agree to act as facilitator. Let me tell you what the job description is. You need to be able to keep this moving. Remember, this is speed thinking. Your job as a facilitator is to go around the table, or whatever you call that, and ask each person to give you a quick sentence or two of their idea, and then to move it along. So people can't... Your job is to make sure people don't take up. You're going to have 15 minutes for each of these 2 questions. Your job is to make sure people aren't taking 5 of the 15 minutes to give an answer, okay? You move them along. And those of you who are the victims of the facilitator, you can't hold it against them. That's what I just told them their assignment was, all right? The other person I need is someone who agrees to take notes. The only requirement for this is that your handwriting is somewhat legible. You don't get graded, so grammar and typos don't count. I just need you to record this because we are not going to have time to report this out. You're going to hand us your things, and we're going to go back and analyze and collate this and then report it back to the group and say these are some of the solutions and ideas that came forward, okay? So find those 2 people in your group, have a volunteer for facilitators, have a volunteer for recorders. All right. Okay. Told you this is speed, so. Those of you who are recorders, do you all have paper? If not, I have some paper here. You have a piece of paper? Anyone need paper? All right. So, who's doing the slides? Can I have the next slide? Where is she? There we go. All right. So here is your first question. You have 15 minutes to go around the group, and what I'd like you to answer is based on what you heard today. So we heard a number of potential solutions, we certainly heard all the challenges described, right? What you heard today and your experience, what you know to be true, potentially that little gem of a solution that exists in your community or in your experience, all right? Please discuss quickly and record possible solutions to the dropout crisis, either ones that you know have worked for your community or ones you potentially see or heard about a little bit today that you think would be true solutions to the dropout crisis as we've discussed it today. All right? So get as many solutions down on a piece of paper, brainstorming as you can. 15 minutes.
Everybody, as you all can tell, it's the end of the day, and people are tired of sitting. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up for this afternoon and talk to you a little bit about next steps. What I'm going to do is just frame for you some of the things that I heard. And I'll tell you what, a lot of what I heard, I didn't know. And so I was very encouraged to hear some of what education said. And I guess I've been sitting here saying, wow, that's a shame. I should have known these things were going on. And so truly in my mind, it shows me that the state does need better collaboration and having the opportunity to work and listen to each other. But it's some of the things I heard. I heard about the toolbox that's being revised for truancy. And remembering that truancy is generally what you see before they drop out. So I was thrilled to hear that. The pays. You heard my story before. I'm bought into pays. I have been for many, many years. And I think that once you get that data and begin to analyze what's going on with the youth in your community, and let me just share with you another piece of that. We did something that I thought was very beneficial is once the kids reported, we then looked at some of our other data in the county, such as number of DUIs, number of drug arrests, criminal convictions, juvenile crime, because with doing that, we were able to validate what the kids said. So again, a more holistic perspective of what's going on in your community. Once you do that, I believe that you will be able to Prioritize needs. And that's really important because, as all of you know, there's not a whole lot of money out there. And with limited resources, we want to target one thing at a time or two things at a time, whatever may work. But we want to make sure that whatever the issue is really where you target your dollars. So you're going to find that to be extremely helpful. I would also suggest to each one of you that partnerships are the only way you will succeed. It was nice to hear that the counties will also get that data from PAYS, because counties need to have that as they move forward as well. Partnerships, and let me tell you about some existing ones that in many counties you're going to find them. Children's Roundtable. Who in here knows if you have a Children's Roundtable in your county? Okay. Who in here doesn't know if you have one? Okay. For each one of you that raise your hand, I'd like you to go back to your county, call either your Human Services or your Child Welfare Agency, and ask them whether or not they have a Children's Roundtable operating in that county. The roundtables are operated with the courts. It's a joint venture of the courts and of the Children Youth Administrator. Judge Woodruff is part of his roundtable in Allegheny County. But you should be at the table, because these are the very issues that are discussed and solutions are found as part of those discussions. So that is a really important thing. How about a CJAB? Anybody know what a CJAB is? Criminal Justice Advisory Board. Again, another vehicle for you to use that already exists. Do not create something else. Take the people, take your data, and go and figure out, using existing structures, be part of it, and figure out what can we do and how do we prioritize kids who are dropping out of school and find solutions. So those are just a couple quick things. Business leaders, businesses can make excellent partners. Interestingly, if you don't ask, they don't know to offer. Going to them and saying, just like I did with our one company in York County, I need to make sure these kids can read by 3rd grade. Will you adopt a classroom? If you have businesses, especially businesses in close proximity to an elementary school, could they give their employees an hour every day to walk over and read to kids, to adopt a kid, so to speak, and meet with them, to help a child who's struggling with reading? I can tell you that I believe if you reach out to your business people, they will be more than happy to ensure that the next generation can succeed in the workforce. So please feel free to do that. Your United Ways. United Way, which I believe is in every county, your United Way agencies are great at tackling big issues. There was a time when early childhood education didn't get a whole lot of conversation, discussion in Pennsylvania and across the country. It wasn't found to be a priority. What do we know now? We know that children who are ready to go to school will be more successful. We know that when children are more successful, they're less apt to disengage and drop out. Have your United Way, and in York we did that, begin to tackle the issue of school dropout. Let them be a partner and be a strong partner, and they can help you even bridge the gap between the business community and your human services. So these are just a couple brief things that I thought would be helpful. Judge Woodruff is going to come up here and kind of wrap us up and talk about next steps. For those of you that don't know, Judge Woodruff was a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's got this nice ring on his finger, which I just love looking at. It's a Super Bowl ring. If you never saw one, you might want to see it, but do it quick because he's got to get on the road. However, I'm so happy that Judge Woodruff and I were able to co-chair this initiative. We both care about it deeply. And we think it is a problem that we can solve. So, Judge Woodruff. Sorry about that.
Now that Bev has mentioned it, one of the things, I played with the Steelers for 12 years. One of the things that made us so successful is over those 12 years, I saw players come and go. But there was a core group that was fundamental to our success. And so as I look around this room now, I've seen people come and go. I'm looking at a core group that's going to be fundamental to the success for our kids. So I really appreciate you all not only being here, but staying here to the bitter end as well. The toolbox that Bev spoke about, we're going to take all the solutions that have been provided. We're going to summarize those. There will be a report coming shortly indicating those solutions, that toolbox. It will be on the website. It will also be discussed at the webinars. We're going to have some additional webinars coming up as well. Also on the website, this session has been videotaped as well. So when you go back to your communities, those that were not able to come, you'll be able to share it with them on the website as well. We will have an initiative or a challenge, so to speak, coming in the fall, based on everything that we've heard here as well as to exactly what is it that we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And then shortly thereafter, there will be some action items. How do we get our agenda moving in our communities, also in the legislature as well. So that's going to be coming. All should be done by this fall. So stay tuned, get involved on the website as well as the webinars as well. And thank you all very much for being here today with us.
Well, just a few minutes to thank everyone involved here. First, I want to thank all of our speakers and panelists. I want to thank all of you for being here and attending this event. First of initiative, more events to come, and I think we're really going to make some progress here in this issue that is vital to Pennsylvania and to the country. Want to thank, of course, our co-chairs, Secretary McGriff and the Judge Woodruff. Really appreciate you both stepping up and taking a leadership role. And I want to give special thanks to the CIS Harrisburg, CISPA staff. Worked very, very hard to pull this program together. Nathan Maines, our Executive Director and President, Andrea Nieder, Chrissy Boone back there, hi Chrissy, and of course Jane Hess. So please give them a big round of applause. And thank you all. We'll see you next time.